Hey guys, it's Lauren Yates from Rave Up here, and today we're going to be having a chat with Canadian actress Jessica Steen, who you may know playing Lisa Stillman in the Canadian TV show Heartland. Jessica, welcome to Rave It Up. It is a pleasure to have you on the show today. How are you going?
I'm going well, thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I'm flattered.
You're very welcome. And since this is your first time on the show, we'd love to get to know you a little bit better and start from the beginning, if that's okay.
Oh, geez. Well, that was a very long time ago. I mean, we don't have that. Oh, yes. Okay.
But just to get a good idea of, how you made it to where you are today and how much hard work is involved. So when I was doing my research on you, you are the daughter of two actors. So how was that growing up? Did they want you to actually go down that path yourself?
Not at all. Quite the antithesis. They both, warned me constantly, and my mother would not partake at all if I was, sorry, to be fair, we did a couple of things together. She, growing up in Toronto, one of my stepfathers was a production manager at a commercial house. And so I remember I think one of the first things I did was a McDonald's commercial that he was doing, and I was behind the counter handing over a burger. And then I started going to commercial auditions, and my folks were friends with casting people. And so that was, so it was the family business, just the people that we knew and the people that my parents hung out with and what my folks did. It was sort of, and my family also, my mom's whole side of the family, we all did skits at Christmas. And so they're a loud, humorous bunch. And so it was already sort of all laid out a little bit.
Did you ever think of it as a career for yourself personally, or did you also have other careers in mind when you were younger?
It's funny because it was so much a part of who we are, I mean, it's almost, my circus friends have kids and they're walking the high wire and it's sort of, if my dad had been a shoe person, I would have been making shoes. I mean, it's just, that's what we knew. And all my mom and dad's friends were in the theater and on the stage. And so when it came time to make some pocket money as a teenager, I did have other jobs. I worked at a vet. I walked dogs. I, sold shoes and stuff at Roots. But once this started, it almost came too quickly as the way to make money. So the hobby really quickly it was a hobby all through school, but then once I started making money at it, then it was like, I got to pay rent, I got to, pay all my bills, and it took on a different flavor for sure, and got a little more pressured and serious. Yeah.
It's a plus that you also have a passion for it, so hopefully it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
And how did you get into all the circus acts side of thing? So like stilt walking, fire twirling, and fire eating. I was so surprised when I read that.
I do not eat. Have not ever blown or eat fire. I have a lot of friends who do that extremely well, and I am not one of them. The first time I went to Burning Man in 1998, that was when, and then and then I went to Burning Man for 20 years straight. And, and we, from that point on, getting high was addictive. So all my friends and our camp, at Burning Man was all about stilt walking and I had a lot of great teachers, and we would teach it to everybody, and the camp's still there and does do that. And, so it became it is addictive. It's really fun if you're vertically challenged in any way. Once you get up there, it's like, oh gosh, I can see everything, and it's a really playful way to interact with people.
Oh, that's great. Do you still do a little bit of it now, or?
My knees are not as game as they were. I will and have, but not like I did before. In fact, I'm due for knee surgery.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Second round. So, yeah.
Probably from all the stilt walking. Who knows?
Oh, yes. Yes, I fell and tore my cartilage, did my meniscus on both knees. Anyway.
Good luck. I really wish the best for you. We want you to keep walking normally and still walking.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm better on stilts than I am on high heels, to be fair.
Wow, who would have thought? Fun fact about Jessica.
Yeah.
And are you an only child too, or do you have siblings?
I'm half only, and then I have two halves. Yeah.
Because when I was doing my research on you, your birthday is the 19th of December as well. Does that mean when you were a kid you kind of got like double the presents or just one big present?
Well, it used to be annoying, and it used to be all jumbled in, and my mom worked really hard to separate the two things and not put up a tree until after my birthday and so on. But now I kind of appreciate that everybody's winding down and almost on holiday and getting to their, destinations. And I, so it seems close enough to Christmas that I now have a better appreciation for it than I did when I was a kid, for sure.
And at the age of 8, you were cast in your first role in the children's TV series The Sunrunners, co-starring with your mum. That is quite young. Do you think starting so young kind of took away your childhood a little bit, or were you grateful that you got to start off so early?
Well, I'll tell you what was interesting about that series is that I had, as a kid, I almost failed grade 3 because I had petit mal epilepsy. And until we did that series, we didn't see it. We didn't know. And so I was failing because the symptoms of that are when you get activated or taking deep breaths, you get nervous, your teacher asks you a question and you get nervous, you blank stare for 10, 15 seconds. And then when I came, when you'd come back in, the teacher would be mad, or, you'd have missed 50, so there were a lot of them a day. And so watching the dailies of that show, we finally got to the bottom of what it was, because I had migraines and I'd been falling a lot because I'd be jumping up and down on a bed, and then I'd have a petit mal seizure and I'd fall off the bed and crack my head open, and we were in the hospital all the time sewing things up and broken fingers and all that kind of stuff. So it was that show was sort of a pivotal moment to be able to get on the right medication, and eventually I grew out of it. But yeah, so that show was a pivotal moment.
Jeez, what a story. I did not see that one coming. Jeez, thank you for sharing that with us.
I don't know if I've ever told that story. Yeah. Because it was one of those, events in my youth that really made learning difficult, reading, getting anxious about not understanding things because I was missing so many things. And so, when it took so long back then with CAT scans and hearing tests and visual tests and all these things that we were trying to figure out what it was that was happening. And then when we finally got to the right doctor. That's a whole chapter.
Well, it's good that you found out what it was at such an early age too.
Well, yeah, it had been going on for, I don't know how long, a couple of years. And then was on medication until puberty, and then it went away.
Yeah, because who knows where you would have been, later in school if you still didn't know what it was.
Yeah, it was difficult, for sure.
And in 1991, you did move to New York, and 6 weeks after arriving there, you were booked on the soap opera Loving. Was it stressful those 6 weeks, though, without work? What did you do? Did you get a job as a waitress or something to just, make ends meet?
The timeline's a little off on that one. I moved once to New York for a few months, and it was not great. And then I moved again with my best friend from high school, and we got an amazing apartment and had a great time, but it took a long time to find work. And I was actually working more in Canada once I moved to the States, and that's kind of a regular thing. Actors move to the States, and then people back home appreciate you a little bit more. And I was so broke. Oh my gosh, New York is hard when you're so broke. There were a whole bunch of other things going on, and I was so broke, and I said, okay, let's try soaps. I'll try soaps. And it's kind of a funny story because I went in on Loving. It was, I was filling in for the character of Trisha, and she was pregnant, and the actress had gotten so pregnant, none of her shoes fit, she couldn't do anything, and they'd written all this material for her, and she had to, give birth and do all these things, and then she couldn't do it. So they had to find something. So I remember going in for the audition, and they said, "Oh, could you turn around and let your hair down?" I was like, "Okay." Turn around and take my clip out, and they're like, "Oh, great." And then I got the part of like, as if my hair, I don't know. And they had to say my name. It's like, playing the part of Trisha will be Jessica Steen. And it was just a funny, weird transition. And then I had to do all her stuff that they'd been they hadn't been able to shoot with her, giving birth. And then, oh my gosh, the storyline was hilarious. But that happened. I moved to New York in 89, and that happened in the spring of 91. And then it was on ABC, and I got flown out to LA to test for Homefront, and that was on a Friday after work on Loving, and then we started shooting Homefront, the pilot, on Monday. So, and then I moved to LA, to shoot that.
You're just meant to have those stressful couple of months first, and then it was a bit more of a snowball effect.
It was 2 years. Like, it was 2 years in New York, 89 to 91. And then that happened, and then I moved. Yeah.
Oh, well, you just needed that one big break, right?
Yeah. Well, New York's a funny place because when you're good, it's great, and when you're down, it's hard. I think a lot of places are like that, but New York's, it's your best friend and then your worst friend, depending on what's going on for you.
Oh my goodness. Well, I think it gives everybody a bit of a taste behind the scenes of what it is like to just, get that big break in the first place.
There was, it's hard. And there's so many highs and so many lows.
And throughout your career, you have also worked alongside some amazing actors like Charlize Theron, George Clooney, Bruce Willis, Keanu Reeves. Who was your favorite to work alongside? Do you have one?
Oh gosh. I did an after school special where I played Lindsay Wagner's daughter, and I had been such a Bionic Woman fan growing up, and I didn't tell her until we were done shooting just what a nerdy fan, and I don't, that's long before your time, but anyway, I was super starstruck, and then we got to work together, and Keanu and I actually grew up together, so we were in a number of things in Toronto, projects together, and his sister and I were friends, and we were in the same, grade for several years. I would have to look at my resume to choose my favorite, because I've been really lucky, and there's been a lot of great things. Of course, Armageddon was a fun thing because there were so many amazing people in that movie, and we all were on location together, and so we were in Houston for all the training, and so we were that was really fun. And then we flew in our own plane with everybody and went to Cape Canaveral in Florida, and there was a majority of men, so it was really kind of delightful to be one of the only gals, so that had sort of a wide range of really fun guys to work with. Honestly, I'm going to regret not knowing more off the top of my head, and I'll think of it afterwards, but I don't know.
But I really put you on the spot, I know. It's a hard question.
Yeah.
But you did well answering, I've got to say. Now, we do know that there are probably a lot of Heartland fans listening today, so I guess we better talk about Heartland, right?
Yeah, I'm very grateful for all of them.
But let's bring you back to the, beginning of the show. How did you come across Heartland? And please tell us about the audition process. Was Lisa a character that you just automatically connected with?
Well, I was talking to Michael Weinberg 5 days ago, and he's funny because he was, this is his first foray into television series, and he did so much of the casting, and he went on instinct, and he did a really great job. Sean, Grandpa Jack was young, right? And so he would be playing an older character, and so they did a whole bunch. Anyway, I auditioned for Maggie, the feed store owner initially, and Michael said he saw my audition and he said, I want, have her audition for Lisa. So did Maggie first, and then did Lisa, and that went well. And then, so at the third episode of season 1, I was at a barbecue at Heartland, and my nephew and I were there, and sparks started to fly.
You needed to play Lisa. Obviously, he saw something.
I have been extremely grateful for his, insight into that. So, yeah.
And his vision. It's amazing what they see that we don't see.
Yeah. He's a dedicated producer. He's the driving force between it. Have you seen all his little behind the scenes movies that he did last year? They're so cute.
Not yet. I will now, but I've watched every episode of Heartland.
If you go to Michael Weinberg on Instagram, he shot very cute. Like he wrote his own little scripts, and we shot them all. And so he shot them all.
Okay, I'll check that out. And everybody else has got to check it out now too.
Yeah.
And have you always been a lover of horses yourself? Did you grow up around them? Have you always known how to ride, or did you have to learn that?
I'm an animal person, hardcore. I am not an Amber Marshall. I mean, there's this part is Amber. Very few times in anyone's life did they get the opportunity to shine like this. I mean, this is really her, and she's just awesome. And to watch her with animals is awe-inspiring. I live in downtown, like right downtown Toronto, so not a lot of horses. And the times that Lisa gets on horses, I have to go. It's sort of very intermittent, and so I definitely have to go for lessons prior to any of that. And the last one that we did when I got Grandpa Jack to get into the fox hunt outfit. Precious. We actually had it was touch and go there for a second, because I'd gone for a lesson. A bunch of us had, and we got to shooting, and he and I are supposed to be down the side, and Amber comes riding by on her horse, who is quite activated, that she's riding a horse that she's trying to train, and Sean's horse has been on the show since the beginning. So he actually knows, this horse knows all the steps up until action, and he gets very activated, and he's activating my horse. And then Amber's horse comes running by and jumps over the jump, and mine bolts towards the jump, and all the wranglers come running in, and I'm like, I'm not going over that. Anyway, so I don't ride well or often. But I love it, and I'm game.
And are you still living in Toronto, or do you live in LA now? I've been kind of hearing both.
Well, I have a lot of family in Toronto, and I have family in Montreal, and I have family in Vancouver, and I have been living in Los Angeles, but a lot of traveling, a lot of cities to try and navigate with all that family, and I really am trying to narrow down the number of places that I'm. So, although it's been LA a long time, I'm slowly closing that chapter down.
Oh, Canadian, going back to home.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Because I was just thinking, I was like, the show is filmed in Canada. Like, that must be such a challenge doing all that traveling back and forth whenever they need you.
I do a lot of driving. I do a lot of commuting. I mean, I love driving, and I like, all the places that I go. But it is, yes, it's a lot of packing up and a lot of Airbnb-ing and stuff. Yeah.
Well, we have a new respect whenever we see Lisa in the show now. We'll be like, oh, Jessica, she traveled for that. And since your character is a horse breeder and is away a lot, do you use that time away from filming to do like other projects, or do you finally have some downtime?
I mean, there are so many moving parts on Heartland. There's so many characters and so many sort of sections of the family doing different things. So they kind of alternate between cast members and guest stars, and there isn't, not everybody, of course, can be in everything. It's got 3 storylines generally running per episode, and so we So, when I'm very happy to be there when I'm there, and there's a lot of stuff going on when I'm not. And yeah, I mean, I'd prefer not to go to France or Turkey or whatever. I'd rather be at home at Heartland, but gotta move the story focus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I did just have your co-star Michelle Morgan on the show, and she
Oh my
said
God.
I just had to ask you about your relationship with Sean Johnson, Grandpa Jack, if people don't know, since you are, the closest to him amongst all the cast. And she did say you are really great at telling stories, and you have quite a lot. Do you have any funny stories, that you can share with us from working with Sean? We love our funny stories.
Um, Geez, funny stories working with him. I mean, I'll say this: when Michelle got married, we all went up to her wedding in Whistler, and I brought my boyfriend at the time, and Sean and Sue, his wife, were right in the seat ahead of us, and my boyfriend had watched a bunch of Heartland and knew everybody, and Sean, it doesn't have all of his Grandpa Jack on, and he turns around and he's like over the back of the seat, and he's talking about, he's like, so he gets so excited about things. Like, he really is the heart of Heartland. I feel like, he's organized hockey tournaments and Halloween parties and fundraising, and he'd be the first one to dress up and do, and he's great with the fans. He's super interactive. Right now, he and I are working on a public service announcement for Hope for Heroes, which is a hotline for EMT and first responders who are suffering from PTSD. And he's always game to jump in and help. But when, he has a very particular, as you know, cadence as Grandpa Jack. And when he whipped around, like we were on a bus going, on a school trip or something, and he's hanging over the back of the seat and he's so excited and we're talking about stuff. And he sits down again, my boyfriend goes, "Oh my God, he's like 18. He's so cute. He's so funny." I was like, he's an actor, and he is all those different things. Yeah. It's amazing to work with him because he is extremely thorough and a perfectionist. Like, he really works at every moment that he's there, and he contributes music, and I mean, he's just a remarkable person to work with. I'm very fortunate.
Well, the perfectionist thing is one thing that Michelle said, because I was like, who do you think out of all the cast has to redo scenes heaps of times, or who screws up the most? And she's like, definitely Sean, because he's such a perfectionist.
She's next on that list. If I were to say, I would say
Truth comes out.
I love, because she really knows every moment to moment, because she's directing now and producing and writing, and she has a real propensity for all the departments, and she likes to break it down and build it back up again. Yeah, they're both amazing. Everybody has different style. It's a collaborative effort. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you and Sean are definitely a great team, because Michelle did say you're kind of really the glue that keeps everybody together, especially like offset. You're the one to organize things, and even Graham Wardle, when he was on the show, he was like, Sean is definitely the one who keeps the kind of family vibe amongst everyone, when he grabs the guitar out in between scenes and jams along.
Yeah, I mean, to listen to Sean and Amber jam and play music together is really special. And, that they'll, spend time at the trailers in between stuff playing together. And and there are a number of crew members who are amazing musicians. And so anytime we get together, have the opportunity to get together and have a party and hang out together, and there's music and barbecue, it's you know what? It's a really amazing family. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's nice to have that family vibe, even when the cameras aren't rolling, because it's so realistic to us. Because I even asked Graham, I was like, is anybody actually related in the show? Because it looks so realistic.
Yeah.
You guys do a good job, and we are so excited that it has been renewed for season 14.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Very, very exciting. Very. Yeah, thanks.
Hopefully soon for you guys when it's safe to do so, I guess.
I know.
There's, yes, lots of details to iron out.
Well, you've already achieved so much in your career, Jessica, but what else can we expect from you in the future? Obviously, season 14 of Heartland, but what else is up next for you?
You know, I'm of a certain age where, what I really appreciate about a lot of my female friends who are in my age bracket and are that they're becoming directors, they're writing, they're producing, and starring in their own material. And I absolutely revere and am motivated by them. A lot of my friends are directing. And so when I ask myself, is that what I want to do? And I've really looked at what the job entails and that kind of thing. And it isn't what I really want to focus my life force on at this point. But I still want to act. So it's a tricky one because as you get older as a woman, there's a lot of people up for the same parts. There's not necessarily as many, super duper juicy ones. There's a lot of moms, and I'm happy to do those parts and stuff. And as far as the business goes, I look forward to the opportunity to sink my teeth into, and that's the part that is actually getting more exciting. The older I get, and we get to, my friend and I put a pirate cook on tape the other day. She and I shot each other, self-taped each other, and we put a black on our teeth and we made our hair all nasty. And then, and then we had all these lines we were saying, and it's just, it's a fun, there's also these opportunities we're getting opportunities that are different than we used to have. So yeah, you know what? Who knows? Who knows what lies ahead? Yes. As far as acting goes, we have to see. That's the life of an actor.
Well, no matter what you do, we know it's going to be great and we can't wait.
That's very nice of you to say so. Appreciate it.
And do you have any advice for the listeners today who might want to follow their dreams of becoming an actor?
My mother and father said, don't do it. Don't do it. It is a very up and down life for the most part. You don't have the security, you don't have the structure, you have to create your own days. And there's a lot, now, the way technology is now, there's so many ways to interact with people online. And because, Zooming and everything, classes can happen online, everything can happen in a much, it's interesting because so much of acting is in person, so much of the joy of it or the crackle of it is doing it in each other's presence. And I'm going to be curious to see how and what can be done virtually, right? And honestly, if you're asking for my advice, I'm not one to give any, because the whole format, the whole world of acting, I don't even know what we're looking at anymore, or how to suggest, as with any art, if you're a painter or anything that you create, you're going to have to be good at so many different things other than just the art. Acting is such a small part of the overall toolkit of success. You need to be able to schmooze and know people and connect people, and you have to have confidence, and you have to be nowadays really good at PR, social media, all that stuff. You need to be very confident, auditioning for things. You need to, be able to save your money so you can get through the dry spot, the investments. And so there's a lot involved in being successful at any kind of art. And I used to say, do it as a hobby, have another income that takes the pressure off it, so that you can always bring the joy to it and not bring the desperation to it. If there's something that you can learn, some sort of, I don't know, if you could cut hair, everybody's always going to need haircuts. It's something that's mobile, right? That you can do, wherever you go, some skill tasks that can be performed wherever you go, and have some way of making money that, takes the pressure off auditions. But that's me, because I hate auditioning. A lot of people love it. I'm not one of those folks.
Well, I think, as you said, everybody views it differently. Some see it as an opportunity, some just go, ugh, do I have to?
Yeah.
But that's really good advice. I hope everyone takes it on board and knows that, it does take a lot of hard work, but it's totally worth it in the end.
Yeah. And obviously writing your own stuff, producing your own stuff, directing your own stuff, starring in your own stuff, putting your own demo reels of different characters together so that people can see you in different light. So it's not just going in for the parts that are coming your way, to be able to show your diversity and, accents and stuff like that. Yeah, and these things, this thing in my hand has changed the game so incredibly. So, yeah.
Oh, exactly. We're talking on the either side of the world.
But, you can also shoot amazing things because this camera is outstanding, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you. I hope you inspired a lot of people today.
I hope so too.
And we are unfortunately getting to the end of the interview, Jessica. I really appreciate your time. But as a closing statement, and was probably the most important question, knowing what you know now, what would you tell your 14-year-old self?
Oh, 14. Oh my gosh, my 14-year-old self. I would say be careful as you invest in. It'd be great to have a mentor. Find somebody that you really trust that can give you good guidance as a young person, that has a lifetime of experience to say, this path will, give you these options. This path will give you these options, and maybe show the pitfalls and the highs and the lows of each of these different choices and careers. Yeah, find a good mentor. And it will save you a lot of life force being, sort of tragically, for those of us who are tender-hearted, when you get involved in something or a situation or relationships or jobs or shows or, whatever it is along your path, you can do some scars and damage that are hard to navigate around. So yeah, I guess would find somebody who you really trust, who has had a really full life, and seek their counsel. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, they can guide you instead of you going through trial and error.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today, Jessica.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for inviting me.
And you're welcome on the show anytime. So if you want to chat about anything in the future, just hit me up and it'd be lovely to talk to you again.
All right. Let's do it again.
Hopefully next time we can have a chat in person. After all the restrictions are lifted, do you have any plans to come to Australia in the future?
Well, who knows? Sure. How is I'm just curious, how is everything after all the burning?
It's okay now. It feels like we've just had one thing after another. Like, we had the fires, and then we had floods, then we had coronavirus, so it's just crazy.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to going back to normal soon.
Yeah, well, whatever that will look like. Yeah.
Yeah, restrictions are starting to be lifted now, so that's good, but I think it will still take a while. But I hope you guys are okay over there too.
Well, things are getting weird. Anyway, yeah. It's weird all over. It is.
Well, when things do go back to normal, if you come to Australia or you just want to chat again online, just let me know.
I will. All right. Take care, everybody.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed today's interview. If you'd like to check out any of our other interviews, visit our website, raveituptv.com. All of the podcasts and videos are there for you to enjoy. But for now, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!